The microphone felt heavy in Cameron Park's hands as he stood on the small stage at Seoul Community Church in Itaewon. His heart pounded so loud he was sure everyone could hear it. The Sunday evening service was packed with families from all over the world. Then Maya Okoye stepped up beside him, her dark eyes meeting his, and suddenly breathing felt easier. "Ready?" she whispered in Korean, her Nigerian accent making the words sound like music. He nodded. They had practiced this spoken word piece for weeks, but now, standing in front of the whole congregation with sweat making his dress shirt stick to his back, Cameron wondered if he could remember a single word. Maya began. Her voice was soft at first, then grew stronger. "We are the dreamers, the ones who see color where others see gray." Cameron found his rhythm, switching between Korean and English like they had rehearsed. "We are the builders, laying foundations with our bare hands." Their voices wove together like music, like they shared one heartbeat. The church had never heard anything like it. A Korean boy and a Nigerian girl speaking truths that crossed oceans. When they finished, the church erupted in applause. Cameron's mother sat in the front row, her designer handbag clutched tight, her face unreadable. His father checked his expensive watch. But Maya's father, Mr. Okoye, stood up clapping with tears streaming down his face. After the service, Cameron and Maya sat on the steps outside the church. The summer night in Seoul was hot and sticky. Street vendors pushed carts past them selling tteokbokki and hot teok. The smell of spicy rice cakes mixed with sweet pancakes filled the air. "Your parents looked angry," Maya said quietly, picking at the hem of her yellow dress. Cameron wanted to lie, but Maya always knew. "They don't understand." "Understand what?" "Us." He looked at her. Really looked at her. Maya had moved to Seoul 3 years ago when her father got a job teaching at the International school. She was different from everyone Cameron knew. She laughed loud. She asked questions that made adults uncomfortable. She painted pictures that made him feel things he didn't have words for. "There is no us, Cameron. We're just friends who perform together." But the way she said it, the way her voice shook just a little, told him she was lying too. "Maya, Cameron!" His mother's voice cut through the night like a knife. She stood by their black Mercedes, her arms crossed. "It's time to go." He stood up slowly. "I'll see you at church next week?" Maya smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Of course. That was Sunday. On Monday, everything changed. Cameron came home from school to find his parents sitting in the living room of their Gangnam apartment. His father sat in his usual chair, the one that cost more than some people's cars. His mother stood by the window, looking out at the Han River below. "Sit down, Cameron," his father said in Korean. Cameron's stomach twisted. They only spoke Korean at home when things were serious. "We've enrolled you in an academy," his mother said, still not looking at him. "Westbrook International Academy, in Busan." "Busan?" Cameron's voice cracked. "That's hours away." "It's one of the best schools in Korea," his father said. "You'll study business, economics, prepare for university, prepare to take over Park Industries one day." "But I don't want to go to Busan. My school is here. My friends are here. Maya is—" "This is exactly why you need to leave." His mother finally turned around. Her face was hard. "That girl, that Nigerian girl. You think we don't see what's happening? Nothing is happening. We're friends." "Friends don't look at each other the way you two do." His father stood up. "You're 15 years old, Cameron. You come from one of the most respected families in Seoul. Your future is already planned. There's no room in that plan for a romance with someone so different." The word hung in the air like poison. "You mean someone who isn't Korean," Cameron said quietly. His mother's face softened just a little. "We're not cruel people, Cameron. We just know how the world works, how Korea works. The merger with the Kim family, your arrangement with their daughter when you're older, the business, the legacy. These things matter. More than my happiness? You're 15, his father repeated. You don't know what happiness is yet. One day you'll understand we did this because we love you." Cameron felt tears burning behind his eyes. but he refused to let them fall. When do I leave? Friday. 4 days. He had 4 days. Cameron didn't tell Maya right away. On Tuesday, they met at her father's cafe in Itaewon, Okoye's coffee corner. It was a small place squeezed between a Korean barbecue restaurant and a shop selling K-pop merchandise. Inside, it smelled like fresh bread and the spicy Nigerian jollof rice Mr. Okoye made every morning. Your usual? Mr. Okoye smiled at Cameron from behind the counter. He was a big man with kind eyes and hands that were always covered in flour. Yes, please, Mr. Okoye. How many times must I tell you? Call me uncle. He laughed and handed Cameron a cup of tea and a piece of puff puff, the sweet Nigerian donuts Maya loved. Maya came down from the apartment above the cafe. She had paint on her hands and in her hair. I was working on something. Come see. They went up to the small room that served as Maya's studio. Canvases covered every wall. Some showed Lagos, the city where she was born. Others showed Seoul, the city where she lived now. But the newest painting made Cameron's breath catch. It showed 2 figures on a stage, their hands reaching toward each other, their mouths open in song. Behind them, the world split into colors. Bright African prints, mixing with soft Korean watercolors. It's us, he whispered. It's the us we could be, Maya corrected, if the world let us. That's when, Cameron told her. The words spilled out like water from a broken dam. Busan, the academy, his parents, the arranged marriage they had planned for his future. Maya listened without interrupting. When he finished, she walked to the window. From here they could see Seoul Tower lit up against the night sky. How long? She asked. I leave Friday. That's 3 days away. I know. She turned around. Tears ran down her face, but her voice stayed strong. Then we have 3 days. Let's not waste them being sad. Wednesday they took the subway to Hongdae and walked through the art markets. Cameron bought Maya a small silver bracelet from a street vendor. It had a charm shaped like a paintbrush. So you don't forget, he said, fastening it around her wrist. I could never forget you, Cameron Park. Thursday, they went to the Han River. They sat on the grass and watched the sunset turn the water gold. Other couples walked past them holding hands, but Cameron and Maya kept space between them, always aware that people were watching, always aware they were different. I'll come back, Cameron said suddenly. When I'm older, when I'm strong enough to stand up to my parents. I'll come back for you, Maya. She looked at him. That's a big promise. I know, but I mean it. Will you wait? Maya was quiet for a long time. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out a small canvas, no bigger than a book. She had painted the Han River at sunset, just like it looked right now. Take this with you, she said, so you remember what you're coming back to. I'll keep it forever, Cameron promised, and when I come back we'll be free to be together. No parents, no rules, no people staring at us like we're wrong. I promise, Maya, I promise. She kissed his cheek quickly, so fast that if he blinked he would have missed it. Then I'll wait, Cameron Park. But don't make me wait too long. Friday came too fast. Cameron's bags were packed. The car was waiting downstairs. His parents had already left for the office, satisfied that their problem was being handled. Cameron took one last look at his room, at the life he was leaving behind. Then he picked up Maya's painting and went downstairs. She was waiting outside his apartment building. How she knew where he lived, he never asked. She just knew things like that. I couldn't let you leave without saying goodbye properly, she said. They didn't hug. They didn't touch. They just stood there on the busy Seoul street while people rushed past them to catch buses and trains. 15 years, Cameron said. I'll be 30, old enough to make my own choices, strong enough to come back for you. 15 years, Maya repeated. Don't forget me, Cameron. Never. The driver honked the horn. Time was up. Cameron got in the car. As they pulled away, he looked back. Maya stood on the sidewalk in her yellow dress, the one she wore the night they performed together. She raised her hand in a wave. Then she was gone, swallowed by the crowd. If you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me what you think will happen next. Will Cameron keep his promise? The years crawled by like wounded animals. Cameron threw himself into his studies at Westbrook Academy in Busan. He learned business and economics like his father wanted. He learned to wear expensive suits and shake hands with important people. He learned to smile at dinner parties and say the right things to the right people. But every night, he looked at Maya's painting. The Han River at sunset. The promise he made. After the academy, Cameron went to university in Seoul. His parents were pleased. He was becoming exactly what they wanted. A proper Korean son. A future CEO of Park Industries. But Cameron was playing a longer game. He worked harder than anyone else. He made connections. He built relationships. He learned everything about his father's company and then learned more. Because he knew that one day he would need to be strong enough to stand on his own. Strong enough to walk away if he had to. He never forgot Maya. Sometimes he would take the subway to Itaewon and walk past Okoye's coffee corner. The cafe was bigger now. Mr. Okoye had expanded, added more tables, hired more staff. But Cameron never went inside. Not yet. Not until he was ready to keep his promise. He tried to find Maya online, social media, email, anything. But she had vanished like smoke. Maybe she had gone back to Nigeria. Maybe she had moved to another country. Maybe she had forgotten about him. But Cameron didn't believe that. He couldn't. At 25, Cameron became the youngest executive at Park Industries. His father bragged about him at every business dinner. His mother started bringing up the marriage arrangement again. The Kim family's daughter had studied in America and was back in Seoul now. Pretty, educated, Korean, perfect. Except Cameron didn't want perfect. He wanted Maya. At 28, Cameron was promoted to vice president. He had money, power, respect, everything his parents wanted for him. But when he looked in the mirror, he saw a stranger. A man in an expensive suit with tired eyes and an empty heart. At 29, his father started talking about retirement. Soon the company will be yours, Cameron. Everything we've built, everything we've protected. Protected. The word made Cameron sick. And then, 1 month before his 30th birthday, Cameron made a decision. He was sitting in his office on the 45th floor of Park Industries headquarters in Gangnam. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed him all of Seoul spread out below like a glittering circuit board. He had everything, and he had nothing. Cameron pulled Maya's painting out of his desk drawer. 15 years old now. The colors had faded slightly, but the promise remained bright. He picked up his phone and called his assistant. "Clear my schedule for the next week." "Sir, you have the board meeting on Tuesday and the merger talks on Wednesday." "Cancel everything. I'm going to Itaewon." The drive across Seoul took 40 minutes. Traffic was always terrible, but Cameron didn't mind. He needed time to think, to prepare. What would he say to her? Would she even remember him? 15 years was a long time. She could be married. She could have children. She could have moved on. But he had to know. Okoye's coffee corner looked different. The small cafe had grown into something bigger. The sign was newer. Through the window, Cameron could see it was packed with customers. Korean and international, everyone mixing together, sharing tables, sharing stories. But that's not where Maya was. Cameron walked down the street, following instinct. Then he saw it. A new building that hadn't been there 15 years ago. Bright, colorful, with a sign that read, Okoye Creative Haven, Art Center for Children. His heart stopped. Through the large windows, Cameron could see inside. Children everywhere. Korean kids, African kids, mixed kids, all of them painting, drawing, creating. And in the middle of them, wearing a paint-covered apron and the biggest smile he'd ever seen, was Maya. She looked up. Their eyes met through the glass. And just like that night 15 years ago when they stood on the church stage together, the whole world disappeared. There was only Maya. There was only the promise. Cameron pushed open the door. A bell chimed. 20 children turned to stare at the man in the expensive suit who just walked into their art class. "Can I help you?" a young woman at the desk asked in English. But Cameron wasn't looking at her. He was looking at Maya. She had frozen in place, a paintbrush in one hand, her mouth slightly open in shock. "Cameron?" she whispered. The children started giggling. "Teacher Maya knows the fancy man." "Class," Maya said, her voice shaking. "Keep working on your paintings. I'll be right back." She walked toward him slowly, like she was afraid he might disappear. Cameron couldn't move, couldn't breathe. She was even more beautiful than he remembered. Her hair was different, longer now, pulled back in a colorful scarf. She had tiny lines around her eyes from smiling. She looked like home. "You came back," she said in Korean. "I promised I would," Cameron replied in the same language. A little girl tugged on Maya's apron. "Teacher, you're crying." Maya laughed and wiped her eyes. "I'm okay, sweetheart. These are happy tears." "Can we talk?" Cameron asked. "Please?" Maya nodded. She told her assistant to watch the class, then led Cameron outside to a small garden behind the building. Someone had planted flowers there, African marigolds and Korean roses growing side by side. "Your father's cafe," Cameron started. "He passed away 3 years ago," Maya said softly. "Heart attack, but before he died, he made me promise to keep building, keep creating. So I did. The cafe is still there, but this," she gestured to the art center, "this is his real legacy. A place where all children are welcome, where being different is celebrated." "I'm so sorry about your father. He was a good man. The best." Maya smiled through fresh tears. "He always asked about you, you know. Even at the end, he wanted to know if you were happy." "I wasn't," Cameron admitted. "I'm not. I have everything my parents wanted for me. Money, success, power. But I don't have the one thing I actually want." "What's that?" "You." The word hung between them like a bridge across 15 years. Maya looked away. "Cameron, we can't just pick up where we left off. We're not teenagers anymore. We're 30 years old. We have lives, responsibilities." "I know. But Maya, I kept your painting. Every single day for 15 years I looked at it. Every decision I made, every late night at the office, every business deal. It was all so I could get to this moment. So I could be strong enough to come back for you." "Strong enough for what?" "To choose you over everything else." Maya's hand went to the bracelet on her wrist, the one with the paintbrush charm that Cameron had given her 15 years ago. She had kept it too. "I have a birthday gala next week," Cameron said quickly before he lost his courage. "In Gangnam, all the important people in Seoul will be there. My parents, business partners, everyone who matters in my world. Come with me. Be my guest. Let me show you that I'm serious about this." "Your parents will be there?" "Yes." "The same parents who sent you away to keep us apart?" "Yes." "Cameron, that's not a good idea." "Please, Maya. Let me prove that I meant what I said, that I've been waiting for you just like you've been waiting for me." Maya studied his face for a long moment. Then she sighed. "One condition. Anything. If things go badly, if your parents threaten you or try to force you to choose between me and your family, we walk away. Both of us. I won't be the reason you lose everything. You won't be. They will be. But okay. I promise." She smiled. "You make a lot of promises, Cameron Park, and I keep them." The week passed in a blur. Cameron went back to his office, but his mind was in Itaewon. At night, he called Maya, and they talked for hours like they used to. About everything, about nothing, about the 15 years they lost and the future they might build. His parents noticed the change in him. "You seem happy," his mother said at dinner one night. "Did something good happen at work?" Cameron almost told her the truth, almost said, "I found Maya again, and I'm going to bring her to my birthday gala." But he held back. He wanted to see their faces when they realized he wasn't the obedient son anymore. The night of the gala arrived. Cameron stood in his penthouse apartment in Gangnam, adjusting his bow tie for the 10th time. His hands were shaking. The party was at the Shilla Hotel, one of the fanciest places in Seoul. Everyone who was anyone would be there, including Maya. He had sent a car for her, not because she couldn't take the subway, but because he wanted her to arrive in style, to show her she deserved every bit of luxury his world could offer. The ballroom at the Shilla was transformed, crystal chandeliers, white roses everywhere, a live orchestra playing classical music. Cameron's father had spared no expense. This wasn't just a birthday party. It was a display of power, a reminder of who the Park family was. Cameron greeted guests as they arrived, business partners, politicians, the Kim family and their daughter, who smiled at him hopefully. Everyone in expensive clothes, drinking expensive champagne, talking about expensive things. Then Maya walked in. The whole room seemed to stop, or maybe that was just in Cameron's head. She wore a dress that combined both her worlds. African print fabric in bright yellows and oranges, flowing into traditional Korean hanbok styling. Her hair was in intricate braids. She looked like art come to life. Cameron crossed the room in 6 long strides. "You came." "I promised, didn't I?" She smiled nervously. "Is this okay? The dress, is it too much?" "It's perfect. You're perfect." He took her hand and led her into the party. People stared. Cameron felt their eyes like laser burns on his back, but he didn't care. He introduced Maya to everyone. "This is Maya Okoye. She runs an art center in Itaewon. She's the most talented artist in Seoul." Most people were polite. Some were cold. The Kim family's daughter looked like she might cry, but Cameron's parents said nothing. They stood by the windows overlooking the Seoul skyline, watching, waiting. Halfway through the party, Maya excused herself to use the restroom. Cameron watched her go, then felt a hand grip his arm. "My office," his father said quietly. "Now." Cameron followed his parents to a private room off the main ballroom. As soon as the door closed, his mother exploded. "What are you doing?" she demanded in Korean. "That girl? Here? At your birthday party? Her name is Maya." "I don't care what her name is." His mother's voice was shaking. "We sent you away to prevent exactly this. We gave you everything, Cameron, everything. And this is how you repay us?" "I'm not repaying anything. I'm living my life." His father stepped forward. "You think you're old enough to make your own choices? Fine. Choose. Right now. That girl? Or this family? Your inheritance or your infatuation? Park Industries or some fantasy about being with someone so completely wrong for you?" "Wrong how?" Cameron felt 15 years of anger rising in his throat. "Because she's not Korean? Because she doesn't come from money? Because she actually cares about people instead of profit margins? Because she doesn't belong in our world," his mother shouted. "Look at her dress. Look how people stare. She will never fit in, Cameron. And if you stay with her, neither will you. Everything your grandfather built, everything your father built, everything we've protected, gone. You'll be cut off. No money, no company, no family." "You mean no prison?" Cameron said quietly. His father's face turned red. "You ungrateful. I love her." Cameron's voice was steady now, strong. "I've loved her since I was 15 years old. You took me away, but you couldn't take that. I built everything you wanted. I became who you wanted. Not for me, not for the company, for this moment. So I would be strong enough to stand here and tell you that I choose her. I choose Maya. And if that means I lose Park Industries, lose my inheritance, lose you, then I lose you." His mother gasped. "You don't mean that. I've never meant anything more in my life." Outside the office, Maya stood frozen. She had come back from the restroom and heard voices behind the door, heard everything, the threats, the ultimatums, the impossible choice. And she heard Cameron choose her. But at what cost? Maya's hand shook as she backed away from the door. This was wrong. All wrong. Cameron was about to throw away his entire life, his family, his future, everything, for her. She couldn't let him do it. If you're on the edge of your seat right now, smash that like button and let me know in the comments what Maya should do. Should she fight for their love or walk away to protect Cameron? Maya pulled out her phone and called for a taxi. She couldn't stay, wouldn't stay. This wasn't the fairy tale she'd imagined. This was real life, and in real life, love wasn't always enough. She found a piece of paper at the reception desk and scribbled a note. Her hands were shaking so badly the words came out messy. You deserve your life, Cameron. Don't throw it all away for me. You kept your promise. You came back. That's enough. Please don't sacrifice everything. M. She left the note with the hotel staff and rushed outside into the Seoul night. Inside the office, Cameron finished his speech. I'm leaving. Tonight. I'm going to find Maya and tell her that she's my choice. My only choice. You can keep Park Industries. Keep the money. Keep everything. I don't need it. I never did. He walked out of the office without looking back. His heart pounded as he searched the ballroom for Maya's yellow and orange dress. But she wasn't there. Panic rose in his chest. Sir? A hotel staff member approached him. A young woman left this for you. Cameron opened the note. The words blurred as tears filled his eyes. No, 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 not again. He wasn't losing her again. Where did she go? He demanded. I saw her get into a taxi, sir. About 5 minutes ago. 5 minutes. She had a 5-minute head start. Cameron ran. He didn't care that everyone was staring. Didn't care that his father was calling his name. Didn't care that he was supposed to give a speech in 10 minutes. He ran through the hotel lobby in his tuxedo and burst out onto the street. Seoul stretched out before him. Millions of people, thousands of taxis. Where would she go? The art center? Her apartment? The airport? Then he knew. He knew exactly where she would go. Cameron flagged down a taxi. Itaewon, he gasped. Okoye's coffee corner. As fast as you can. The driver looked at this crazy man in a tuxedo with tears on his face and stepped on the gas. Traffic was terrible. It always was. Cameron checked his phone every 30 seconds like that would make the taxi move faster. He called Maya, no answer. Texted her, no response. Please, he thought, please still be there. The taxi dropped him off in Itaewon. Cameron threw money at the driver without counting it and ran. Past the shops, past the restaurants, past the crowds of young people out enjoying their Friday night. Okoye's coffee corner was closed. The art center was dark, but Cameron knew where she would be. He ran to the small park behind the center, the one with African marigolds and Korean roses, and there she was, sitting on a bench in her beautiful dress, crying. Maya! She looked up, startled. Cameron, what are you doing here? You should be at your party. I should be wherever you are, he said, breathless. Maya, you can't leave, not again, not like this. Your parents, Cameron. They'll take everything from you. I don't care. But I do. She stood up. Don't you understand? I can't be the reason you lose your family. I can't be the reason you lose everything you've worked for. You're not the reason. They are. Cameron took her hands. Maya, I spent 15 years building someone else's dream, making money I didn't need, impressing people I didn't like. For what? So I could stand in a fancy ballroom and feel empty? No, that's not living. That's not a life worth having. But your family, my family doesn't understand that some things matter more than business, more than tradition, more than what people think. He pulled her closer. You matter more, Maya. You've always mattered more. From the moment we stood on that stage together when we were 15. From the moment you painted that picture of the Han River. From the moment you believed in me when no one else did. You are my family. You are my home. Maya was crying again. I'm scared, Cameron. What if it doesn't work? What if you regret choosing me? The only thing I regret is not fighting harder 15 years ago. But I'm not 15 anymore. I'm not powerless, and I'm not letting you go. Not again. Not ever. He dropped to one knee right there in the garden. I don't have a ring. I didn't plan this. But Maya Okoye, I have loved you for half my life. Will you let me love you for the rest of it? Will you marry me? Maya laughed through her tears. You're crazy, Cameron Park. Is that a yes? That's a, Are you sure you want to marry a Nigerian woman who will embarrass you at business dinners and teach your children to paint on the walls? Absolutely sure. And you understand that my jollof rice is better than any Korean food? Cameron laughed. That's debatable, but yes. Maya pulled him to his feet. Then yes. Yes, I'll marry you. I'll marry you and drive you crazy and make you happy and build a life with you that's better than any fortune. They kissed there in the garden under the Seoul stars, while marigolds and roses grew together in the soil. The next 6 months were hard. Cameron's parents cut him off like they threatened. He left Park Industries, moved out of his penthouse. For the first time in his life, Cameron Park wasn't rich, but he'd never been happier. He and Maya got a small apartment above Okoye's coffee corner. Cameron used his business degree to help expand the art center. He wrote grants, built partnerships, used connections he'd made over the years to bring funding to Itaewon. The community loved him. Korean grandmothers brought him kimchi. Nigerian mothers brought him puff puff. Children at the art center called him Teacher Cameron and climbed on him like a jungle gym. At night, he and Maya would sit on their tiny balcony, eating ramyeon and planning their future. It wasn't glamorous, but it was real. It was theirs. 3 months after Cameron left Park Industries, his mother showed up at the art center. She stood in the doorway like she didn't know if she was allowed to enter. "Cameron," she said softly in Korean, "can we talk?" They sat in the garden. His mother looked older than Cameron remembered. "Tired. Your father is sick," she said finally. "His heart. The doctors say stress, overwork." She paused. "And guilt." "Guilt? For what we did to you, what we took from you." His mother's voice cracked. "I've been watching you, Cameron. Don't look so surprised. I'm your mother. Of course I've been watching. I've seen you with her, with Maya. I've seen you teaching children, building something real, and you're happy, actually happy, more than you ever were in that office." Cameron didn't know what to say. "Your father wants to apologize. We both do. We were wrong, Cameron. About everything. About Maya. About what matters. About what makes a good life." She looked at him with tears in her eyes. "Will you let us try again? To be your family? The right way this time?" It took time. Months of careful conversations. Of his parents attending art shows at the center. Of dinners where everyone tried too hard to be normal. Of Maya teaching his mother to make puff puff and his father teaching Maya to make kimchi. But slowly, impossibly, they became a family. Not perfect, but real. 1 year after Cameron returned to Itaewon, he proposed to Maya properly. He got permission from the children at the art center to help. They painted signs that said, "Marry me," in every language they knew: Korean, English, Igbo, Yoruba, even a few words in languages they made up. When Maya walked into the center that morning, 50 children held up their signs and shouted, "Marry Teacher Cameron." Maya laughed so hard she cried, "Yes! Yes, I already said yes, you crazy man." "I know," Cameron said, producing a ring this time. "But last time was rushed. This time I wanted to do it right, surrounded by family." The wedding was small. They got married at Seoul Community Church, where they first performed together. Maya wore a dress that combined traditional Nigerian and Korean wedding styles. Cameron cried through his vows. His parents sat in the front row next to Maya's aunts and uncles who had flown in from Lagos. After the ceremony, they had 2 receptions, one with jollof rice and pounded yam, one with bulgogi and bibimbap. Nobody could agree which food was better, but everyone agreed the love was perfect. For their honeymoon, Cameron and Maya went to Jeju Island. They walked on black sand beaches and ate fresh seafood and talked about their future, about the children they wanted to have, about the life they were building together. "No regrets?" Maya asked one night as they watched the sunset over the ocean. Cameron pulled her close. "Only that I didn't come back sooner. You came back exactly when you were supposed to." "How do you know?" "Because we're here now, together, and that's all that matters." 1 year later, Maya gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. They named them Chidi and Jiwoo, Korean and Nigerian names together, just like their parents. The baby's first birthday party was chaos. Cameron's parents brought enough Korean baby clothes to fill a store. Maya's aunts brought enough Nigerian clothes to fill another store. The art center children made paintings. Everyone argued about whether the twins should learn Korean first or Igbo first. Both, Maya said firmly. They'll learn both. They're both. Cameron looked around the crowded art center, at his parents laughing with Maya's family, at the children running around with cake on their faces, at Maya holding their daughter while their son pulled on Cameron's hair. This was success. Not a corner office, not a bank account. This. Family. Love. A promise kept. What are you thinking? Maya asked. That I'm the luckiest man in Seoul. Just Seoul? Fine. The luckiest man in the world. Better, Maya kissed him. Now go rescue your son before he eats that paint. Cameron laughed and jumped into action. This was his life now. Messy, loud, perfect, and he wouldn't change a single thing. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to see more stories about love that crosses borders and overcomes every obstacle. Drop a comment telling me about your own story of love and promises kept. And hit that like button if you believe that real love is always worth the wait. Because in the end, love doesn't ask about where you're from or what language you speak or what your bank account says. Love just asks one question: will you choose me? And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is answer yes.